Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my VCT EMEA Week 2 power rankings. I think this region was by far the best in Week 1, like comparatively to Americas and Pacific, and I would assume to China from the very limited amount that I saw. Um, I thought there was some decent Valorant being played. Obviously there was some slop as well, don't get me wrong, but this was far from the worst Valorant that I've watched this week, and there were actually some surprisingly good teams in here rather than America's where it was just all surprisingly bad. So if you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Also, if you are interested in how I would rank individual players against each other in this region, you can go check out my player rankings that I just posted on Twitter. I posted these yesterday as of recording this, so 2 days ago as of uploading this, I believe, because I'm uploading this tomorrow. But yeah, I think that was very interesting, just seeing how everything worked out together, I guess, in this region. There was a lot of close together teams in like this middle of the pack, and I think they this week kind of solved some of those little individual things. But yeah, again, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, everything like that really helps me out. I'm getting pretty close to 1.5k, so if you could do that, share the video as well with people who would enjoy this kind of content. And yeah, let's get right into it. All right, so we'll start with this bottom tier, which is only going to feature one team this week, which I'm actually kind of surprised about, which is Koi. I think they're just easily the worst team in EMEA. I don't really want to talk about them too in depth, but I do think Flya looked better as an individual. That's like, kind of like the one positive for this team. Also, Soulcast had some nice moments, but overall didn't really do much in this game. Again, Filu looked fine, didn't really do much though. Grabinho was taking way too many first duels on smokes. He like, God, what was the number? I think he was like at 15 and Filu was at 14 or something like that. Something insane. Over the series, Grabinho had 15, Filu had 14. Yeah, just an absurd amount. And then yeah, Shados was fine. He was their top frag in the match. I don't really have much to say about them. Then we'll go to this next tier of teams that aren't horrible, but definitely are not good teams. We'll start with Navi. Just put Xiao on Scan Initiator, and this team will be like 7th or 8th in EMEA. Like, it's so obvious to everyone else except for Angel for some reason, and it's really frustrating to watch. Like, they're playing comps that are not good. Like, they've been or Angel has been playing Yoru on his teams for so long, and then decide that now in 2025, when Yoru is in the meta, now is the time to stop playing, especially with a player that played quite a bit of Yoru last year in Koala Noob. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Koala Noob though was pretty good. I thought Xiao was pretty good as well as an individual. Ruxic had some bad moments overall. I didn't really love his play. And then Hero, I thought was fine. I don't really have too many thoughts on him. But like when Angel was playing Fade on Fracture, he like kept missing his Fade Haunt lineups. For specifically the arcade one, he did it like 3 times in a row on attack side, which was interesting. But overall, I like there is a reason that they're not in this bottom tier. I don't think that map was that bad. I don't think Angel as a caller overall is that bad. It was like Fracture was fine. I think they just kind of got individually diffed at the end by Fnatic, who Kayak activated in that game, and then everybody was kind of online all at the same time, and it was just really hard to beat. But their split, specifically the defense side, was really disappointing. I mean, they just kept leaving. I think it was Hero playing the Vise. Yeah, they just kept leaving him to die on B, and or whoever was anchoring the site with the util. I guess they just kind of left that guy there, and they just repeatedly died. And then whenever they had like a Vise wall watching mid, somebody would trip the wall, and then nobody would react to it, or they would leave ramp open. Somebody would drop through vent and then go up through B heaven on the other side of the Vise wall and just kill somebody for free. That happened once with Angel just not looking for it, which to be fair, he is calling, so he's not really going to be thinking about every tiny little gap in the setup. especially mid-round gaps. That's kind of a little bit harder to do. He's trying to figure out like the macro and stuff like that, but it is still a gap in the setup that was not good. But overall, I don't know. I don't think Navi's that bad, but they are not better than really any of these teams ahead of them. Which then I have Giants, who is another team that's fine. They do have another really good player, kind of like Navi does, where Westside is insane for this team. I also do think Cloud has been insane. I don't think he was quite as good in this game against Vitality, but also that's against one of the best teams in EMEA, so I'm not really going to blame him too much for that. Um, yeah, but like the rest of the team overall, they had some moments. Like Purple had an ace, I think, but overall they just kind of got individually diffed. I do I really would like to see them against like maybe a Navi or a team like in their general range that isn't Vitality, or a team that has an insane amount of individual skill. Like, I mean, dude, they play Heretics next week, which I would not class in their same caliber as individual skill if Heretics plays individually like they did against Apex. Navi, I think, is in that range. Fnatic is not. And then Apex probably is as well. So, I mean, maybe, I mean, there's a chance that Apex isn't either, which is kind of crazy. Um, but yeah, I want to see them against a similar caliber team. I think they could kind of beat some of these teams around this range in this like not ready to move and not horrible tier. I think maybe somewhere in there they could get some wins, and I think they could be a decent team, but maybe not quite in stage one. Also, dude, on split, I don't think Tamazi knows what Teo Util does. I swear he died to it like 3 or 4 times, whether it be the rockets or the ult. Um, he just kind of sat in it a few times, and it was just like, do you know that these abilities do damage, man? Like, I don't know, man. That was interesting. Then I think the team that I have the most to say about is Apex. Map 1 was really good from them. I really, really like that. Avova looked insane. Molesy had some really nice moments as well. Um, Let me pull up the VLR page for the game. Overall, I mean, Heretics just did not play well on that map, to be fair. But I do think Apex, playing the comp that they were playing, did a really good job of using that comp and like beating Heretics in the really weird way that Heretics was playing on that map, I guess. I don't know. It wasn't super great, but it wasn't bad by any means. Like, it was definitely better than any maps that they had played at kickoff, in my opinion. Then map 2, I think they looked like they had a bunch of solid ideas, but they just kept getting bogged up in the mid round because Governor has never IGL'd before, at least in tier 1, and definitely showed in both maps, honestly. Um, but overall, I thought that map was fine from them. They didn't. I think it'll get better kind of as the season goes on. I wouldn't really fully give up on it for them. And then map 3, they had a few nice defensive set plays with the Waylay from Fluorescent. I mean, I think they made Waylay look the best it has looked up until this point. I think there was one team that definitely made it look better. I don't remember who it was, but I'm pretty sure it was after this game. So, to the point that they had played this game, they made Waylay look the best it had. But overall, just kind of fell apart down the stretch, um, and didn't really have any real ideas outside of like a reclears with the Waylay breach Teo. As for individuals on this team, Governor and Floor, the two main reasons that this team was interesting at all to me, were very, very disappointing. Floor's Yoru was specifically disappointing to me. It just, I don't know. She, like, did not use the TPs correctly. She would, like, stick around way too long in an area without using the TP. Like, there was one round where they were against an eco. She ulted all the way through Heretic spawn. She came out of the ult in their spawn, didn't TP away, died, and gave Heretics a gun, and I'm pretty sure Heretics won the round. Or maybe Apex recovered. Either way, it was a bad play by Floor. She would also like go for plays like they had a round on Ascent where they were trying to fake A, and she ran into the site without a TP and then tried to TP away and just pulled her TP out and died. So that was weird as well. Also, just she didn't use her flashes when she was playing Yoru either. It kind of just felt like she was using the TPs in the clone and kind of just trying to play chamber, which is not ideal, but uh, can definitely get better. I would expect it to get better. Floor is still very good. I'm not gonna really harp on her too much for that, but it was something that was very apparent to me while watching this game. Also, another thing that was very apparent: Governor Anteo was terrible. It was so bad. Like, it didn't really look like Ash last week for Gen G was very apparent that he wasn't comfortable on the Teo. Governor, it just didn't look good. Like, he just wasn't using the abilities, which I guess is discomfort on the agent. But like, he just wouldn't use the drone on the attack side. I noticed this specifically on Icebox, where they were getting kind of owned by I don't think it was necessarily an op, but like just the way Heretics was playing, they just could not take V long because they just wouldn't use the Teo drone for some reason. Um, but he needs to improve on this role. Is this to if this team is gonna like get into playoffs or like survive relegation at the end of the year? He just needs to get a lot better if they're gonna do that. But overall, I think this team definitely showed some signs of life. I mean, I didn't even really talk about the two main pieces of this team and why they looked good, which was Avova specifically. I mean, I did talk about him looking nice on map one, but on map two, he won them some rounds as well, was very, very good. And then Molesy, I think, had some really nice rounds, had some really good supportive util as well while not IGLing. He was a great player back in the day on Vitality in like 2023. So could be really good now on more of a flash initiator role rather than a scan and flash initiator role, I guess, at the same time, and could maybe improve and get a lot better and be like an actual player for this team rather than just somebody that's kind of there and calling. And then now, next up in this not ready to move tier, which I guess is kind of hard to explain. I had a really, really difficult time naming in this tier because it was kind of teams that I'm almost ready to move up with the team that I'm very ready to move down. Just need to see it a little bit more. And we'll start with that down team, which is Karmine Core. I think map one was really nice from this team. Looks like a very vintage Sadok Icebox team or performance. Um, but overall, like, I mean, honestly, the individuals looked really nice on that map, I guess. I don't really want to kill them too much because that map did look good. But the other two maps, which I definitely have more to say on, were very, very sloppy, I guess, is kind of just the way that I would describe it. Just like people going for solo plays, losing clutches in awful ways, um, and playing a not great comp on Fracture, where they're playing Jet in 2025 as a solo duelist. Like back in the day, these Sadok teams, specifically Loud, would play Jet and Raze on Fracture. And back then, in 2023, that was kind of the meta. Now it is not. You play Raze, you play Neon. Some teams maybe play Yoru. And that's really it. I mean, some teams are playing Waylay, I guess, which is kind of the substitute for Yoru because I don't think Yoru's that great on Fracture as a solo duelist at least. Um, but like the Astra on Fracture was just so bad specifically. That's the one thing that was super noticeable was the Astra. When they would try to take sites, they would either A, need the 3 smokes and only have 2 because you can't use 3 Astra smokes at the same time. You can use 3 Brim smokes at the same time, or specifically when they were execing B, they would hit the site, get bogged down a little bit, the smokes would drop, and they would just get owned trying to rehit afterwards. So that was very disappointing. I also thought all of the individuals didn't look that great outside of Sagetsu, just as he does, looking pretty nice overall. Like, I don't really have too much to say about Sagetsu overall, but Sadok didn't look great. Aves looked fine. I'd say I didn't really have too much of an issue with how he played. Elite, I thought was fine, I guess. Like, he played really well on Icebox. I didn't even realize he went 20-2 on that map, but the other two maps were not quite as great from Elite. So you'd like to see them improve individually, but I think that's their easiest path to kind of being a good team. I don't really think these comp issues are going to fix themselves though, because like Sadok's teams have had issues with the comps that they play for like 3 years now. Like, yeah, Loud played good comps in 2023 up until they played at Tokyo, I think. Yeah, it was Tokyo. And then they decided to not just play Aspas jet maps for whatever reason. That was weird. And then going into last year, they stuck with the Phoenix idea for too long and were never really able to recover from that. And then this year, they played this awful like harbor stuff in kickoff. Did kind of steer away from that a little bit, but did still play it on Pearl, where I don't think it looked that good overall as a comp. And just are playing just stuff that doesn't really make sense in terms of the Jet and the Astra and Icebox. So I said I didn't really have much to say about this team, and then I talk about them for a very long time. So I don't know. Then I have Gentlemates, who, I mean, they looked really good. And I specifically really want to talk about Mini and his calling, which looked amazing in this game. Also, I think this team looked very, very drilled in terms of just having a lot of different trap plays and setup or set plays and stuff like that at the beginnings of rounds. And also just not doing dumb shit, I guess. Like just kind of being very coordinated and stuff, I guess. Also, I think the Kamek pickup looks really nice, especially kind of transitioning Zip-On into more of a scan initiator role, which definitely looked better than his flash initiator outside of when he would play KO, which I don't even know if he played any of this year. I think it was just, I'm just remembering like last year stuff. And then, yeah, Mini, who I said the calling looked great on, he was easily their best player. Like it was not close. He was awesome. Kata, I thought was nice. Not amazing as he was like last year necessarily, but he was definitely nice. And then Click, I mean, people were really hyping him up coming into the year. I still am yet to see that. Like, he still has some really nice moments. He still has overall solid play, but also he'll just like miss shots here and there. I don't think he's like the best mechanical player in the world necessarily. So you want to see that improve, especially with his opping, I think. But he's not necessarily holding this team back quite yet. So I'm not going to rip into him too much. I'm just not super impressed either. But overall, I was definitely impressed by Gentlemates, and they were definitely one of the teams where I'm like, I'm going to wait a week to move these guys up, but wow. Like, if they play like that again against... Oh, whoa, I don't know what the fuck that was. I clicked on, like, Twitter, and then a clip started playing. Let's see who they're playing this week. What the fuck? I looked up mates, and it didn't come up with anything. They are playing Foot. Okay, yeah. Even if they did play like it, like they just did, I don't think they'll beat Foot. But if they can have a close game with Foot, have both teams look good, I wouldn't be that surprised, and they would definitely move up in that case. Then the last team we have in here is BBL, who, I mean, as I said with Carmine Corp, please stop playing this Astron Fracture. Just this region decides that they want to play certain things on certain maps, like Heretics played the Astron Fracture. They and Carmine Corp did. I think there was another team that did at some point. I mean, Navi back in the day was always trying out playing Omen on Fracture, which, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it also isn't great. But man, this team is so sloppy. And if they can fix this like coordination issues that they've had, which I guess a lot of it was to do with Magnum being in the team, I would assume, because they looked pretty coordinated at kickoff, or like at least decently coordinated, like a lot better than they were, where they would just like in this game they would just have somebody running out and trying to make a play, and then everybody else is just like, nope, we're not doing that actually. So there was a lot of issues in terms of that. I think overall though, with like the macro play and everything else in terms of like the comps that they're playing and everything like that outside of the Astron Fracture, I'm still very high on this team. I really like all the individual players in terms of Loon. Nope, that's BLL. I need to type BBL into VLR. There we go. Um, like 11, I still think looked really good. The Icebox, obviously, from this team did not look great, but I'm going to kind of move past. Actually, yeah, okay, the Icebox comp and the Fracture comp were horrible, but their Pearl comp I thought looked really nice, sociable, still looking great. I thought Magnum looked decent as a pickup. Like, I didn't really have a hard opinion on him one way or the other. But Yompi's calling, Yompi's individual play both looked pretty good. And then Profek, I don't think had his greatest game, but was definitely very good overall, as he has been for this team. So overall, individuals look nice. The coordination, not quite there with BBL. Need to see that get better, but I would expect it to, considering A, how it looked at kickoff, and B, the fact that they have kind of just swapped Magnum in for the rest of the team. And a lot of those issues were on the defensive side. So with their Sentinel player, it could be a lot to do with that. So I'm going to give them another week to kind of fix that. And if it's not fixed, then maybe they'll be moving down. Now onto these teams that I think could make top three in the EMEA and kind of make it to an international event. And we'll start that with, let me pull up my notes real quick so I don't fuck anything up. There we go. With Fnatic. I thought they played a very nice game. Not perfect, but definitely looking better. Split, I still think they're playing a little bit slow on the attack side for my liking, but all the individuals looked a lot better than they were at kickoff. So very solid there. I think if the individuals are playing at the level that they were, they can kind of get away with playing a little bit more slow and letting Boaster kind of work the map, get into late round scenarios where they can win. I think that is very good for this team. And then Fracture, I think specifically that was a very good map from them. Their attack side started out really good and looked pretty nice, but their defense side was kind of not great and left more to be desired from me at least. Especially with like some of their pushes, they kind of looked really uncoordinated. Kayak wasn't really getting too much value. Like what was his KD? It was bad. That's what I remember. That he had a bad KD, but I don't remember quite how bad. Specifically, like on the attack side, he was 2-11. The defense side, he was 11-8. But he didn't start that 11-8 run until like round 21 or something, which was insane. That was kind of a big thing with him. Uh, like their defense side pushes weren't working out, but once they started like maybe taking a tiny bit of map control, like a halls tree or something like that. Once they took like that amount of map control, got Kayak set up on the op on that angle. Then he started to play really well, and they kind of completed I would say a small comeback from 11-7 down. Yeah, that's what it was. 11-7. So overall, nice game for Fnatic. Would like to see more from this team. I just need to see more players kind of continue to activate. Like Crashies had an elite level game. Like he was almost back to like Optic Crashies, which was very good to see from this team. Chronicle, I thought looked pretty good. Boaster honestly looked really nice individually, and then Alfier I think didn't really have his best game, but honestly wasn't that bad either. So again, would like to see more, but definitely a good game from Fnatic and starting to kind of build back to maybe closer to what they were last year with Hero rather than I mean maybe they're not quite there yet, but like I don't think they're really going to get to where they were at the end of stage 1 with Leo necessarily because Leo is incredible. But if Leo comes back, replaces Crashies, I think this team definitely has a good chance to go very far. I mean, honestly, I do have a take that I think if Leo replaced Kayak and they put him on Scan Initiator, Crashies on more of like a Breach Flash Initiator stuff, or like have Crashies play like the KO and stuff, Leo can play the Breach, then Crashies would play the Scan on that map. Chronicle play more Sentinel, and then Alfier go to full Duelist. I think that could be better, but also Kayak has been getting better throughout the year, so I don't want to completely give up on him necessarily. But I think overall, in terms of having the more experience in this team, I think that could help. Then onto Liquid, who I wanted to drop further, but I just couldn't bring myself to drop them under Fnatic quite yet. But this roster change does not seem to be very good. Kamek played really well in this game. and I do think Serial definitely had some overall issues. I thought his Teo like utility necessarily was pretty good overall. I don't think it was like amazing, but he had some really well timed drones to kind of stop execs and stuff like that. His rockets were pretty decent. I thought overall he didn't really use the stun too much overall, but I don't think many Teo players do. Like obviously the best of the best use it very well, but your average Teo player doesn't really use it that much in pro play at least. Um, I thought his mechanics looked pretty good, but when he was on like the Astra and the Killjoy, it didn't look very great, especially in terms of map awareness. Even I mean that was even an issue on the Teo. Like his just general awareness and positioning really bad. Kept getting surprised by like a lurk from general mates. Was just in a really bad spot and not ready for it at all. And yeah, just wasn't super aware of the gaps in Liquid setup, which was not ideal for this team. Um, but overall, like that would be fine if this team was still in the same form that they were at kickoff individually, which they're not. Kiko and Camo just are not hitting every shot like they were at kickoff. That was kind of a thing that I was very concerned about heading into Bangkok, which they still did look good there, but not maybe quite as good as kickoff. Then coming into stage one, they look even worse. I mean, honestly, some of their players did look bad mechanically. I think Kiko was one of them, or at least he had some bad moments. I don't think bad mechanically is. I think that's a little bit extreme. Like he still did top frag this game. His raise on split looked really good. But like the Haven, he had some moments where he would just whiff. The Icebox just wasn't great overall. Um, and yeah, I didn't love those two, like him and Camo in that game. I thought Nat's calling and just general read on the game, even as an individual, didn't look as great. Their anti-stratting wasn't super great. I mean, maybe when they start getting VODs on some of these teams heading into this next week, they could be a lot better. Because that was kind of a thing for me where they were like really, really exploiting gaps in the other team's defaults on their defense side. So maybe that could be a thing. They also kind of were overheating at times. And then the other thing for me was just Patty Tech's lack of firepower was a lot more apparent in this game to me when the rest of the team is not owning everybody. Like before, it seemed like I do think Patty Tech was in better like mechanical form before, and but like with the rest of the team not playing as well, his seems even worse than it may have seemed before. Then I have Heretics kind of swapping places with Liquid. I do really have issues with the way this team was playing overall, but I thought it looked quite a bit better than they were at the end of kickoff, so I will give them a little bit of a plus, especially with how bad Liquid played. I think you're kind of getting maybe more regression to the mean with both of these teams. I thought Miniboo looked really nice overall in like the whole game. I was very impressed with him. Rians obviously was playing really well, and then I think the rest of the team was kind of I thought Benji definitely played a lot better. Like he actually turned his monitor on for this game, so that was great. Um, but man, fucking Ascent was so frustrating. They permabanned this map all of last year, and then decide that they're gonna pick it right when it comes back, and then they proceed to go 5-7 on their attack side, so they win 5 rounds, lose 7. Pretty decent half, especially against a double sentinel comp with the Yaru as well. I thought they did a really good job of kind of working through that. Now, to be fair, they did win pistol and bonus and the follow up after the bonus. So they won 4 of their 5 rounds in the first 4 rounds. So not ideal there. But then on the defense side of Ascent, the map that is most notably defense sided, they won 0 rounds after picking the map. Now, that was bad. Like, really, really bad. And then Split overall, I thought was fine from them, but it didn't look super great. They had quite a few mistakes. Um, I don't remember what side it was on specifically, but like the attack side looked good. with the double duelist, but I really don't think this Woot uh, ISO thing is very good. I think they should just play more Breach Teo overall. And I thought Woot's Teo looked decent on Icebox, so you could just put him on that, especially when the guy doesn't want to use lineups, so he could just play that. Um, and yeah, I don't know. But I actually, so speaking of Ascent, I forgot to talk about this part specifically, but like, they did have a lot of good reads, and I thought Boo's IGLing was good across the series. But their defensive positioning, and I do think this does carry over to Split as well, actually. Their like defensive positioning and just trading off each other in terms of like when the other team is executing the sites was really, really bad. Like they would have 4 people on a site on Ascent and just would all take like 4v1s and just all die. And it was so weird. But I do think Icebox was a return to form for this team, and if they continue on that path, they should be able to be one of these teams that makes it to uh, Toronto in EMEA. Then last up here, we have the 2 teams that I really have the least to say about because we expected them to be the top 2 teams. You have Foot and Vitality. I thought Foot overall looked pretty nice. I don't really have much to say. They're just your average Foot team, like nothing crazy, nothing unexpected. The only thing that did kind of concern me was their Lotus comp and the lack of cracks being able to play the game. Um, like wasn't he? Yeah, he was like 4-13 on their attack half on Lotus, and then he was 4-14 on Pearl. He did kind of play a little bit better their defense half of Lotus, but he did not play well at all. But their Lotus comp was really bad. They would kind of just have Zeus on the attack side specifically. It was bad. The defense side was fine, and they came back on that side and were definitely the better team. But Zeus was playing the Jet like other teams play the Yoru on this map, where he would run out on rubble and then see somebody and like be in some kind of danger and then dash away. Because teams would do that with Yoru, where they'll run out and TP away. But the issue with them playing Jet like that is Jet does not have a second entry tool like Yoru does, where he has 2 teleports. She also doesn't have a teleport ability. She has a dash ability where she could get stunned and then wouldn't be able to dash away and would just die. And yeah, overall I don't get it, because Zeus, the map before, went 24-7 on Yoru and was really, really good. I don't know. But yeah, other than that, I mean, Krax continues to not play well on agents that are not named KO. So, or Gecko, honestly, his Gecko was pretty good. So, I do think this team's ceiling at an international level is still limited by him. But overall, I do think this team should be able to make at least 1 international event this year, if not 2. Then Vitality. I mean, I only have a couple points here. Sivov looked amazing on Smokes. I was very surprised with that being the roles that they went with, but the fact that he's playing a lot of Omen on a like as somebody who played Flash Initiator before, transitioning to more of an Omen role isn't that surprising. Like you've seen that with a few players in terms of just like filling in an Omen on a map or something, and it looked pretty decent. Like namely, I would say Ethan Tens. I would say like he played some Flash Initiator at the end of 2023, and then heading into 2024, he played quite a bit of the Omen. So that looked good. I would like to see him play other Smokes agents mainly. Like I don't know, like what map specifically would I like to see? I mean, they're banning Pearl, so that's fine. I would like to see them on Icebox. I would like to see them on Fracture. Yeah, pretty much Icebox and Fracture. I would like to see them on, just to see like what Sivov would be playing and if I like those comps necessarily. And then overall, like the team's macro decision making was pretty bad in this game. I thought it's looked better in games before, so I wouldn't expect it to be this bad again. But definitely on split, they had some issues against the clock, but were able to bail themselves out because they had so much better individuals than the other team. Still the best team in EMEA, in my opinion, but definitely looked human, which they did not look really that much at kickoff. Then we're on to my predictions now, where I went 5-1 last week, only missed on the Liquid Gentlemates matchup. I think if Kamek was playing for Liquid in this game, they probably would have been able to win this. I wouldn't have changed based on the roster moves, but definitely disappointing that I missed out on that one. Didn't go 6-0. But going on to stage two, week two, we'll start with Liquid BBL, where I mean, considering how Liquid played last week, I would expect them to be a little bit better, but also the individual form could continue to fall off. They do have a lot of young pieces on this team. Maybe their confidence continues to go down after that loss against Gentlemates, kind of losing to a quote unquote worst team could kind of knock these players' confidence. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the reason why they lose this. I just don't think that they're going to be able to beat BBL. Like, I think they have similar caliber individual players on this team to BBL, and BBL I think should be able to fix like some of their issues from last week, or at least maybe not fix, but definitely improve on the issues and continue to be better throughout the weeks. Then Apex Navi. I'm going to pick Apex in this game. I'm shocked that I'm picking Apex in any game overall this year, but I'm going to pick them in this one. I rated them higher in the power rankings. I think they can have better individual players. Like, they had really bad games from two of their better players. And if Avova and Molzy can perform again, and Badu can play pretty well, and Florin Governor kind of regress to the mean, I think they should really easily be able to beat Navi. Maybe not easily, but they should be able to beat Navi. This definitely should be a 3-mapper, though. Then Foot Gentlemates. I'm just going to pick Foot, but this is like a 60-40, 55-45 game for me. I do think Gentlemates does have a very good shot at winning this game. I did rate them quite a bit lower in the power rankings, but I think that was more to do with them only having one good week necessarily, rather than their kickoff. That was not great. I just want to see a little bit more of them before I kind of predict them to beat one of these top two teams in the EMEA. Then Heretics, I think, just individually diffs Giants. I don't really have much to say about that game. Then another game that I think is very close in terms of where I would rate it. I think this is definitely closer to a 60-40 game. I am still going to pick Vitality, but I wouldn't really argue, again, like same thing with the Foot Gentlemates, if you picked Fnatic or Gentlemates over Vitality or Foot. I don't necessarily think Fnatic's like the same caliber of team as Vitality. This definitely would be more of an upset than the Gentlemates over Foot, I think. No, because Fnatic, I think people believe in more than Gentlemates, and Foot and Vitality is kind of similar levels. But I do think Vitality is the better team, but I think Fnatic, with the experience on that roster, being able to kind of like out IGL Vitality, I think that is a very real possibility in this game. But I am still going to pick the individual talent on Vitality. And then Karmine Corp, same deal. I mean, I'm just not going to pick Koi overall. They just have been too bad to pick against any team. But if Karmine Corp loses this game, man, I think they have to make like some kind of move, whether it be in the roster or even like getting a different. I'm not saying cut Aang necessarily, but like get somebody else in here on the coaching staff to help out or something like that, because this just would not be working if they lose to Koi. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, everything like that. Did I close the power rankings? No, I did not. Okay, so these are my pickems for this week, and nope, that is my America's power rankings from last week. Go check those out if you're interested. But these are my EMEA power rankings for this week, along with my predictions. So if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, everything like that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.